All right, it is official. The Brooklyn Nets take down the Cleveland Cavaliers and they claim that number 7 spot in the Eastern Conference. They are now the 7th seed and they will be facing off against the Boston Celtics in the first round. That's going to be an interesting matchup. This game between Cleveland and Brooklyn was a tough one. I ain't gonna lie. That first quarter, Brooklyn was doing everything right. Everybody was balling out. KD was balling out. Kyrie was balling out. Andre Drummond was balling out. Bruce Brown was balling out. The team was vibing. They had a 40-point quarter in the first quarter and held the Cleveland Cavaliers to 20. A 20-point lead after one quarter. When we all saw that, we thought, this is it, man. Cavs about to get blown out. But here's the thing about the Nets. They struggle to maintain leads. They cannot consistently play defense throughout the entire 4 quarters. Not to mention, the Cavaliers are a tough basketball team. They fight and claw their way back when they deal with leads like this. So you knew it was a matter of time before they would find a way to get this game close. And the Cavs were doing that, man. KD today, brilliant, flawless, fantastic performance from him. He had 25 points with 11 assists. Kyrie was damn near perfect in this game. In fact, for like 3 quarters, at least for most of the third quarter, about halfway through was when he missed his first shot. But for damn near 3 quarters, he was perfect from the field. He was like 10 for 10. Man finished the game with 34 points. He had 12 assists. He was balling out. They needed Kyrie to put up a performance, and boy, did he put up a performance. Bruce Brown also showed up here, 18 points for him, 16 points for Andre Drummond. He was very key in that first half. He was a very key player and key contributor in the first half of the game because he was just getting to the basket and he was being aggressive. Had 16 points here, 8 rebounds for him. The only person that didn't really contribute anything really was Seth Curry. And Seth Curry just had a rough night. He couldn't hit a shot to save his life. He had a couple 3-point attempts. I think he was 0-4, 0-5 from 3, and just couldn't hit anything. It was tough. Other than that, the Nets, they did everything in their power to hold on to this lead. They started off right off the bat, took the early lead, and they never looked back. But Cleveland continued to claw and fight their way back. And by the time we got to the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, as the fourth quarter is going, it gets it from double digits to single digits. All of a sudden, it's an 8-point game. Then it's a 6-point game. Then it's a 5-point game. They kept closing in and closing in. But every time they did, the Nets came together as a whole. They had a 6-point lead, about 4 minutes to go. And then Kevin Durant said, give me the ball. And he hits back-to-back baskets to make it a 10-point game. Then they continue to fight, but KD's hitting baskets. Kyrie's setting dudes up. Bruce Brown's getting baskets and throwing up lobs. I mean, they were just doing what they needed to do. So the Nets were able to close this out, and they got the job done. As for Cleveland, it was a tough battle. They were behind the entire time, but they continued to fight and claw to the end. You had 34 points from Garland, who balled out and did everything he could. 14 points from Kevin Love. He had a really solid game and really solid first half. In fact, the first half was where he was really great. Second half, he started to disappear. But, Kevin Love was doing his thing. Mobley, 19 points for him. He was balling out as well. LeVert with 12 points. He was trying to do what he was doing. He was hitting some nice baskets towards the end. But, it was a tough game for the Cavs, but they stood there. They stood there, they took the punches, and they started to fight back in the second half. And that's exactly what you want to see. But with that being said, games come to an end. And with the Brooklyn Nets winning this game, like I said, they claim the number 7 seed in the Eastern Conference. They advance into the playoffs, and they will take on the Boston Celtics in the first round. Now, how will that matchup work out? It'll be interesting. Can't wait to talk about it when I give my playoff predictions, but it will be very interesting. The Celtics do not have Robert Williams, and that's going to hurt. They might not have him for most of that first round matchup, so that's going to hurt. But, the Celtics have been able to hold on and continue to play well even with him being out. So I believe they're going to continue to play the way they've been playing. Since January, the Boston Celtics have been the best team in basketball. Just from that time span, they have been destroying teams and they've looked great. So I still believe that the Boston Celtics have a great shot to win this. But I think the difference maker is going to be Ben Simmons. We've heard the stories about Ben Simmons in terms of what he's going through, either his back or something. He's going through some sort of injury, and they're working him to get back. We've heard reports that he might actually be able to play sometime in the first round, which is possible. If Ben Simmons can come back, especially in this series, it could be a difference maker because they don't need Ben Simmons to come out here and shoot the basketball. KD and Kyrie can give you enough of that scoring. This was a rough night for him, but Seth Curry can also give you that level of shooting. So you don't need... You also have Patty Mills as well, who had a really good game as well. But you have Patty Mills, you have Seth Curry, you got KD and Kyrie. They can provide the scoring for you. And you know KD and Kyrie are going to provide the bulk of the scoring because they're going to be the primary ball handlers. They're going to be controlling everything that happens within the flow of this offense. And of course, they still have Dragic on this team who was really, he had a nice couple baskets here, made some plays. He had a nice steal in this game too. So they got plenty of guys that can help score and facilitate the ball. But with Ben Simmons, the two things you need from him is to facilitate the ball, which, he does at a high level. He's a great passer. But most importantly, you need his elite defense. And I think that could be the difference maker. Because if you have Ben Simmons here adding to your defense, that could end up being the difference maker. We don't need the Nets to be the best defensive team. They just have to be a good defensive team. And getting back Ben Simmons could be huge. That could be the difference between them getting eliminated in the first round and them potentially going on to the finals and potentially winning the championship. Who knows? But they need Ben Simmons. Now, will they need him for this first round matchup? I think it's possible. But of course, we'll have to see. The matchup is going to be KD and Kyrie versus Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. How will those two duos match up? Head to head, who are you taking? KD and Kyrie or Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Most people are definitely going to go with KD and Kyrie, but let's not underestimate what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been doing. Both of them have been balling out, and they've shown that they can match any output KD and Kyrie are going to put out there, especially because KD and Kyrie are going to be in a much more difficult position because they're going to have to put more effort due to the fact that this team isn't as great defensively as the Boston Celtics. So they're going to be dealing with situations where they're going to be taking tougher shots because the Celtics are an elite defensive team. Arguably, actually, they're not even arguably. They were the best defensive team in basketball. So it's going to be a tough matchup. We'll see how that goes. As for the Cavaliers, Cleveland, it's not over yet. Because you win the 7-8 spot, you will still get an opportunity to fight to get that final playoff spot. We have to see how Atlanta and Charlotte goes, but the winner of that matchup will move on to the second play-in tournament match in which you guys will be in. If you take on Atlanta or you take on Charlotte and you defeat them, then boom, you'll take that final playoff spot and you'll match up against my Miami Heat. As a Heat fan, first of all, I wouldn't have minded if we played the Nets in the first round. It would have been a hell of a test and it probably would have gone 7, but I wouldn't have minded. But at the same time, I'm not mad that we don't have to take on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the first round. Let the Celtics deal with that. So now I got to look at this. Cleveland, Atlanta, Charlotte. Either one of those teams I'm fine with, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Cleveland, it's not over yet. Win the next game and you're in. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, that's all I got to say and I'm out of here, man. Peace.